Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the one and only legendary Chief Osceola. Now, I'm sure most of you know of Chief Osceola as, the badass mascot who runs to the center of the Florida State field and spears the spear into the ground and the whole crowd goes wild. Yeah, I know you know about that Chief Osceola, but I'm here to tell you about the real one. And before I get into this information is coming from legendsofamerica.com. So I'm just going to kind of read you off a summary of this and show you a few nice pictures of Mr. Chief Osceola. And let's get into this unique piece of Florida history. Osceola, the most well-known leader of the Seminole Indians, was born in 1804 in a creek town near Tallahassee, which is present-day Tuskegee, Alabama. His Creek mother, Polly Copinger, was married to Englishman William Powell. Known throughout his youth as Billy Powell, Osceola's early life remains relatively obscure. In 1813, armed conflict broke out among various Creek tribes in Alabama, and then expanded to disputes between whites and Creeks. These Creek wars influenced the move of Osceola's tribe further south, into an area between the St. Marks and Swanee rivers in northern Florida. St. Marks is about 30 minutes south of Tallahassee if you needed some kind of landmark. That is the closest beach to Tallahassee. This movement of tribes was common as white settlement and subsequent disputes forced many natives southward from South Carolina, Alabama, and Georgia. Over time, these various groups living in Florida, mostly Creek and Hitchity background, I'm sure I didn't say that right, came to be called Seminole, or Wild, in the Muskogee language. This phrase was later anglicized into Seminole. Efforts to escape conflict with whites ultimately proved futile. The process of relocating native peoples to territories as far west as Oklahoma was favored by the American government, especially General Andrew Jackson. In the years following initial resistance to relocation, including the First Seminole War, which was 1817 to 1818, Osceola became an outspoken advocate for Seminole rights. The Indian Removal Act of 1830, signed by President Andrew Jackson, posed the greatest threat to Osceola's desire for Seminole autonomy. Between 1832 and 1838, this federal legislation directed the removal of the Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Seminole people to lands occupying present-day Oklahoma. Plagued by food shortages, adverse conditions, and disease, the Trail of Tears remains a haunting reminder of the fate suffered by many native tribes of the Southeast. While Osceola was not a chief by birth, his followers recognized him as such because of his natural leadership abilities. Putting his beliefs into action, he gathered fellow Seminoles in opposition against forced removal during the Second Seminole War, which was from 1835 to 1842. Willing to go against both whites and other natives who cooperate with whites. On occasion, in 1836, Osceola killed a Seminole chief for selling cattle to whites at Fort King. Osceola attended several parleys with American officials, after which he usually left disgusted and dissatisfied. During one supposed treaty meeting near St. Augustine, Florida, Osceola was knocked out, bound, and imprisoned, all while under a flag of truce. Following various attempts at escape, officials brought Osceola and several other Seminoles to Fort Moultrie, South Carolina, in December of 1837. During Osceola's stay here, many regarded him as somewhat of a celebrity. George Catlin, a well-known artist, portrayed Osceola while forming a brief friendship with the legendary Seminole. Osceola, whose name refers to the black drink or Ossie, combined with the call shouted after drinking this emetic, Yaholo, resided at Fort Moultrie very briefly before succumbing to a severe throat illness on January 30th of 1838. He was buried on the grounds outside of the fort, albeit without his head, which was removed by Dr. Frederick Whedon as a scientific curiosity. Today, Osceola's legacy is representative of the struggle faced by many native peoples throughout the United States, as encroachment by white settlers led to violent disputes and the eventual forced removal of most tribes to the present-day Southwest. Still at Fort Moultrie, Osceola's grave provides a site to reflect on the life and times of this significant historical figure. So, even though Osceola was technically half white, he and the whole white settler thing didn't really click very well, if you didn't get the picture through that story. But regardless, in the state of Florida, Chief Osceola is a legend. And in modern day times, we have a pretty good relationship with the Seminole tribe, and really all the other tribes as well. The Creek tribe is pretty prominent in the Tallahassee area as well. We have all done our best to try to make up for some of the wrongdoing of our ancestors of the past. And I would say Florida State University, for one, has done a lot to try to show and the respect towards the people who walked this land long before us. They literally made them the mascot and have tons of statues around campus honoring different Seminole figures. And I think, they still also donate a lot of money to the Seminole tribe as well. So, Chief Osceola, you definitely planted your dent in Florida history, my friend, and we will never forget you.
This has its own magic.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of World of Florida. If you would like me to do an episode on anything you think is unique to Florida, comment below. And, of course, I'd love it if you would just like and share, tell all your friends about it, and let's show the world how dope Florida really is.